What's up, everybody? Really excited to bring you episode 8 of the Tour Podcast today with my great friend, Trevor Lovingood. He's my mentor. He is a pastor at Restoration Church in Denver. He's building community day by day, and he lives life 100% of the time, all out. He is a husband. He has 3 awesome young kids, and the conversation was amazing with him. Before we get started, let's talk about sub4tour.com and sub4tour on Instagram. We got some cool stuff working, a bunch of gear to be checked out there. So give it a shout, and without further ado, here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Tour Podcast. I'm here with my great friend, pastor, mentor, dad, runner, full sender, Trevor Lovingood. Pastor Trevor Lovingood, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm so good. I'm so happy to be with you.
Man, it is an honor to be here with you. We are here at the Nurture Space, downtown Denver. Epic setup. I was not expecting this. We have our good friend Zach here on the mic. And
the Zach Hammer.
The Zach Hammer.
At Zach Hammer on the IG.
To be married
right?
soon.
ZachHammer.co.
To be married soon, 3 months. Invites go out today, so keep an eye out in case they come your way. But before we get started with anything, Trevor, I wanted to ask, I was looking at your Instagram bio the other day, and you have a lot of things in there, but the top thing is a lightning bolt and then run, but R space, U space, in space. Why is that?
Ooh, good question. I think it's something that's been a huge part of my life. Most obviously the past 4 years, but obviously, meaning behind the scenes, I think this life that we're meant to live is actually a race. And so if you come to grips with that life is a race and you've got limited time and you realize that you can either run intentionally or unintentionally, like you're going through it and it's time is running by quickly. So you can either do it with purpose, on purpose, for it, or you can kind of let life happen to you. So for me, man, I just want to be conscious of how I'm spending my time. I think that's why it's called spending time, because it's the most valuable thing that you have, and you spend it, or someone else will spend it for you.
Yeah.
Anyways, run.
That's amazing.
R space, U space, in space.
Yeah.
All under lowercase.
Do they mean anything, each letter, or you just decided to?
Ooh, like an acronym type thing? No, I haven't necessarily done it like that. I think for me, that'd be cool. What would the acronym be? I don't know.
Radically, unanimously.
Yeah.
Underdog. Never give up.
Yeah, never give up. Whatever. That sounds cool.
We'll
start there.
That's cool.
We'll build the acronym as we go through life.
Yeah.
How about that?
Let's go. That's huge. And the Bible even talks about running the race set before us. And so you also have a race coming up. We've run together.
We have ran together.
So we're both runners. You haven't missed a run in 4 years now?
Oh, gosh. No. No. I've ran a lot in the past. I started running 4 years ago.
Okay.
Like officially said, hey, I'm going to run intentionally instead of just casually or randomly. Usually it was like sport running or like just for fun.
Yeah.
Or like a game or something. But 4 years ago I started running intentionally. That was like COVID time. And then it just picked up. And then what I realized was I need competition. So there's a thing in life where if you can choose the right competitor, then you can consistently get better. So competition isn't bad. It's actually good. And I love that so much. And it's not to necessarily always defeat someone else, but also to like defeat the previous version of yourself. Not defeat as in to put down, but defeat as in to get better.
Yeah. And
to accomplish. And so, man, like, I absolutely love like that. And I think I'm around 700 days, a little over 700 days. So almost 2 years. That's not exactly.
Yeah.
Just under 2 years in a row.
In a row. Wow. That's impressive. And most of your runs are at night after you put the kids to bed.
Dude, unfortunately, yes.
Around Wash Park here.
When I'm calling you every now and then.
Not too far from here. And you even go when there's snow on the ground, when there's ice. You fell recently. But you have a race coming up, and that'll be your longest race for sure. But will this be your first race? Official?
No. I've had a few different races that have led to this one. This one will be the biggest race that, honestly, every race that is next that you're doing, it can be the biggest one that you've done before because you haven't been there yet. And so I think it should always be the next race you run should be the biggest one you've ever ran. Biggest can be defined in however you need it to be defined. That doesn't always mean longest. It could be more intense. It could be the best version of yourself or something that gets you back on course or like it doesn't. I just love that idea.
Yeah.
The biggest, the next one. But yes, this one's the longest. I have ran a 50K before, officially like in a race. But this one will be like the field is much more competitive. It's much faster, much more intense. And so yeah, I'm excited about it, man.
Yeah. Do you have a goal for it?
Oh yeah.
What's the goal?
I'm not telling you.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, like I just it's funny. Like I think it's good to have goals. I want to do better than I did last time. I think it would be really cool to be in the 4 hours.
Yeah.
I'm running at some elevation. It's intense. I don't know. I'm kind of questioning even my body of work to even get to this point. Yes, I've ran every day, but like I wish I could have done more. But I did what I could. So yeah, man. The goal is it would be sick to be in the 4 hour range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Believe in it.
Yeah. Let's go.
Town finds a way.
It does, doesn't it? That's good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of discourse between training and then also freshness. So maybe you'll just be fresh for it. You'll be ready. I mean, the mind is so powerful in those intense situations.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How long does it take to get fatigue out of your muscles or legs?
Just like a regular run? Like
like you've been training.
Oh, okay.
And like to get the fatigue out for the race. Because I've heard a few different things on this. I'm a novice.
Yeah. I would say it also depends on your fitness level, but I think a couple days you should be able to get it out if you're sleeping, eating, maybe rehabbing. Okay,
sweet. I love that answer.
Taking care of
Someone
yourself.
was telling me like 10 days, and I was like, come on, man. That just means this is the first race you've ever ran. I was like, 10 days, 14 days? Nah.
No.
Get out of here
you could do it in a couple of days.
Get out of here with that.
You got to sleep, though.
We got to sleep. There it is. Got to sleep.
Yeah, you got to recover right.
I'll tell my 2-year-old that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to miss sleep. Z's going to miss sleep when he's older. But before we move on, I want to touch on something you said there. Making your next goal, your big goal, is that because you want to take advantage of every opportunity coming your way, make the most of them, or why that mindset behind the next thing is the biggest and best thing, even if maybe on paper it's not?
Oh, yeah. Well, so, like, that depends on, like, how someone else has defined that race.
Yeah.
I don't really care how other people have defined the race that I'm running. I think it matters how I'm defining the race that I'm running. And so if I'm going to set my own intentions and my thoughts, then what's going to happen is it's going to help me get better. Is this going to help me get better? Is this going to push me? Is this going to compel me? Is this going to propel me? Is this going to challenge me? Is this going to suck? Is it going to be tough?
Yeah. Yes.
I got to go through something difficult. You even mentioned like a little bit ago, like no matter the reason one of the reasons that I've loved running every day is because 1, it's become a habit, and 2, the habit happens no matter the weather. And man, what I found is mentally is if I can run when it's negative 20 degrees, which I have outside, and if I can run in that, what happens to my mind is it fully changes. The level of what I think I can do, it changes. And the capacity of what I think I can do, it just totally changes because I have now proven to myself. I don't need to prove it to others, but I do need to prove it to myself I've proven to myself that there is more. And I think we were made for more, man.
Yeah,
I think we're here for more.
100%. And so it's that kind of growth mindset that you always want to be aware of, and you always want to not settle, push yourself to something greater. I like that. Let's back it up a little bit. Where are you from? How'd you get out to Denver, Colorado? Let's start at the beginning.
I love that. I love these types of conversations, especially with you, because I don't know if most people don't know this, but we pretty much talk every day.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just not a lot. We pretty much talk every day. And I've loved seeing your journey. And I want friends in my life that are just excelling, and they're trying their best, and they're working towards something. So, man, it's an honor to just sit down with you and to have a conversation, because this conversation that is being recorded is the conversation that you and I have. No matter if it's being recorded or not, we would be chilling here having this type of depth and in a ton of different areas. But so how did I get here, man? So I've been on this journey to get here. We've lived in Denver 10 months. We moved here from Knoxville, Tennessee. We are community builders. My wife and I are, we try to help people find out their relationship with Jesus. Is he who he says he is? Is God alive and active? Is he, let's come to grips with this, because God is either moving and he's real, or he's not. So let's just have an honest conversation in the context of a community where we trust each other, so we can be honest enough to have conversations about God. And if God is who he says he is, well, guess what? He can give you some answers, and he can help you out where you are. And so, man, I want to meet people where they are, and I just want to be their friend, and then help them become who they were made to become. Something that happened 9-ish years ago in Eric and I's life. We were living in Nashville, Tennessee, I think, give or take, a few months or a year, I don't know. Times moves fast, but also slow, and it's tough to keep up with. But there was a moment in our life where we were living in Nashville, and I was thinking about how to meet people where they are, not to change them, but to simply meet them where they are. And what happened was, I found a passion for helping somebody's dream become reality. And are we really asking ourselves the real questions? Have we really come to grips with our own limitations? Because every person is limited. So have you learned how to build a team to help you accomplish what's on your heart or in your mind? And if you can, then guess what? You can see that dream become reality, but then you can also see a better one come into your life that you weren't expecting. So yeah, man, that's I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's what we've kept trying to do. And with the steps of faith that we've been trying to take, it comes back to the getting better thing. We've never lived this far away from the Southeast. We've lived in Tennessee, we've lived in Florida, and I love both of those states and kind of the Southeast.
Yeah.
But coming across the country, never done that. But why would I want to do that? Well, if God is alive and he's moving and he's maybe have led us to come out here, why wouldn't I live a life that reveals that he is good and that he wants me to grow and my family to grow? And so I try my best to live a life that matches what I believe. Not perfectly by any means. Oh my gosh. I'm the most messed up person I know, because I'm the only person I really know, So, but I'm the most messed up person I really know. But it's okay, because we're all imperfect. But the point is not that. The point is, am I getting to experience all that he has for me? Yeah. So yeah, man. Sorry, that's kind of a long answer, but
it's great.
I was trying to capture a little bit of the mind.
What do you believe?
Yeah. When it comes to what?
You said you want to fulfill what you believe in your life. And so I guess at the core of your being, what do you believe in? Is there a purpose that has been given to you, you think?
Yeah. And so I think if we're here on this earth and we have no purpose, then that is a pretty tough place to wrestle. man, I just am not excited about that. And so when I began to realize who Jesus is and what he said, like I think we get caught up as humans with what other people say about him.
Oh yeah.
But if you look at what he says about him, which is the source, then what we realize that he is the way, the truth, and the life. And what's interesting about that, if he is the way to life and he brings truth, then it's like, okay, let's maybe test that out and see if that's legit. And so does he really want me to experience never-ending love? Does he really want me to experience these dreams or miracles or where people's lives are changed and it's like he does the changing, or I just show up? Like, I think having a relationship with Jesus is one of the biggest gifts, is the single biggest gift I've ever been given, because I don't have to be perfect. I'm just walking with him.
Yeah.
And then he makes my path line up. He makes it straight. He helps me understand where I am, maybe where I'm headed. And then if my purpose is to walk with him and help others, invite others on the journey with me to walk with him, then we can find what we're looking for, this life that is extravagant, amazing, that has no limitations. It's like, oh my gosh. And then I just get to help other people find what I have found. I mean, you kidding me? And then we're experiencing life. I can feel the gambit of emotions, both like, and I can be sad and it be okay. And I can be happy and it be okay. And like, I'm not living a life looking for feelings, but I'm also not afraid of my feelings. I think people avoid them, or we're like, our feelings lie to us. And I'm not necessarily sure why I'm bringing necessarily feelings up, but I think it's important for people to hear this. My feelings are also natural, and they're also for us. And so I think there's like a Johnny Cash song that like he remixed like some other band or whatever, but he was just doing his best. Came up with a song, was like, I'm just doing my best to like feel like alive. And I tell you what, when you feel alive is when you're with people in their worst moments and in their best moments, and then you're just with them as a friend, not trying to change them, not trying to manipulate anything, but just trying to love them where they are. And so, man, purpose, being with God and then helping people find what I found in a relationship with him.
Yeah.
Sorry, this was
That
long.
answers it.
Hopefully that felt long, but my bad.
It was amazing. I believe that is what it's about, and how we're wired is being there for people, and it's so much bigger than us. And I completely agree with you there. I want to know though, or maybe people want to know, how did that journey start for you? And then when you are meeting someone where they're at, what methods do you maybe employ to kind of get them moving toward their purpose, or moving forward in life? Yeah.
Okay. So, are you saying? Let me just ask a clarifying question. Are you saying, how did I come to this moment? Like, what were maybe some steps for me that come to this?
I think
relationship with God.
Yeah.
Like, okay, and then how do I help others maybe get on their own journey to have a relationship with God? Okay, I love this. I'm really passionate about this question. Okay, I don't get to answer it a lot either, so thank you for asking. Okay, so for me personally, there's a few things. First off, I think I've noticed, myself included in this, by the way, I've noticed people that say they believe in God, but their life doesn't look like it. So that goes back to the first thing that I said, is like, I want to desperately live a life that reveals and experiences all that God has to offer. And what's really powerful when you begin to think and work through Jesus' words. Okay, if the whole Bible, by the way, the whole Bible's not one book. It's a collection of 66. And there's a ton of authors across thousands of years. And I think it's really important because it's like, a lot of people are like, why do you put your trust in one book? And I'm like, well, like, it's a collection of bad boys. You know what I mean? Like, it's a collection of a bunch of guys, people that have put this together. Their stories, both female stories, male stories. It's like it's just people stories. And so what's cool about that is it's a collection of a lot of thoughts that have a unified theme. And that there is a God that created everything, and he's making a way for us to get to know him and be in relationship with him. Okay, that's not just one book. That's a lot that are speaking the same thing. Okay, that helps me. Okay, my brain is like, oh, that's different then. That's hitting different. And then if you think about who God is and what he has for us, and then what Jesus said about himself, and if we begin there, because after those 4 books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and pre those 4 books, you get everything pointing to those 4, and it's kind of like the culmination of understanding the character of God in like human form, in so that we can see. And so what I loved first is the character of Jesus. Single thing that changed my life is who he is. If you just look at who he is and what he has done, wouldn't you want a relationship with him? Like, I hope he's like, you kidding me? I would love this. This is inspiring.
Yeah.
This is a game changer. And so if I lean in, what can happen is I can get to know somebody's character, and then I can get to know who they say that they are, and then I can like maybe do what they are saying that would be the best thing for me to do, and then I realize, wait, this life is actually way better for me. Like, this Jesus life is better for me. And then I'm seeing myself being changed, and my relationships are getting better, and I'm like, hold on, this is so helpful. Like, who God is and what Jesus is saying that I should do is so helpful. I hope he's God, and as you go on this journey and you begin to think about who he is, it's like, oh my gosh, I really like him. I really love what he's saying here. And then you realize, like, oh, like these other major religions literally base everything, their books and their ideas are based off of Jesus, and they all like Jesus. And it's like, wait a second, if all these other religions are pointing to Jesus, why wouldn't I just want to hear what he has to say about himself? And then he comes to this moment, and he's like, well, like, hey, just so you know, I came to make a way for you. And if you want the best relationship with God, it's through me. If you want one, it's right here. I'm with you. And I love you enough to be able to do this for you. And then I think about all of the things that happened. And my life has been changed. And then there comes to a moment where, like, he's not just an acquaintance in my mind. He's not just this random person that maybe have good ideas. He's somebody that I want a relationship and that I'm desiring to have a relationship with, and that he's made a way. And then this is what happens. And it's like, well, I just need a point of commitment then. We've gone from acquaintance to friendship to now I want to be a best friend with him. And it's like, no, I'm just going to commit my life. I want to be a best friend, because I even look at, recently was this idea where we celebrate his burial, him dying on the cross to save us of our sins, to make a way for us to be to God, and then raise again on the 3rd day. What's cool about that is if you break up with somebody, you can only remember the bad things because your brain is wanting to move on from them. And you hear that a lot in both the females, usually, world. Usually it's like in text threads or like written form. But like in guys share the negative parts of their ex-girlfriends or ex-whatever. It doesn't, like ex-friends even. It's like, Definitely. Oh, like they were terrible, whatever. Well, like if Jesus wasn't who he said he was, then his best friends would not have died for what he did.
Yeah.
And then when I come to grips with all of those things and I'm experiencing God moving in my life, like all of that together as I was growing up, just in high school and in college, it was like, oh man, like that paired with like one of my best friends, or someone that I really looked up to. He's a little bit older than me, and just a good friend of mine. He's passed away when I was in high school. So you come to grips with death and time at an early age. It's like, oh man. And then you're seeing God use this, and somehow he's using everything together for the good of those who love him and live according to his purposes, which is Romans 8:28. And it's like, wait a second, all things work together for the good of those who love him and go through life with him. It's like, oh my gosh, do I want anything else? I will mess everything up. So man, sorry, that was a long answer to the first question. I didn't even get to that. Your second one. Yeah, I don't know if you want me to.
Yeah, absolutely. Please continue. So that's incredible. And then when you're meeting somebody, or somebody asks you, Trevor, I want to experience what you experience, or where do I start? struggling with this thing, or Trevor, you're able to do so much, or you have so much joy, or you're getting after it. How do you do that? How do you hear from God, or how do you live life on fire for the Lord, which is something that you do?
Oh man, thank you. No, I hope I live life on fire. I mean, I think the reason people like fire is because it's like it can be out of control sometimes. I mean, it's alive. It's this moving thing that's like, but it can also be in control, and it can provide. It's a source for energy, and it needs energy, and I don't know. I just love that idea. I've always had a fascination with fire. But to get to your question, let me say it like this. If I care about other people more than I do myself, and I just try to simply meet them where they are, and hear where they are, where they're going through, and I come alongside them and I help them where they're trying to go, then I will build a relationship with them where we can have a conversation about anything.
Yeah.
About anything. And we can go anywhere together. We can have a conversation on a run. We can have a conversation over coffee. We can see our lives changed over working on projects or working on really important things. And so, man, like, I want to clarify, it depends on if the person is a follower of Jesus or if someone is not. But I think you have to be really patient. And my new definition of patience, I don't know if this is even correct. That's okay if it's not. But my new working definition, Trevor's working definition of patience, is figuring out what to do in between what you want to have happen and what is happening, and working on that until that thing that you want to have happen in your future comes into your life.
It's good.
So, like, if I want somebody to have what I have, and that's a relationship with Jesus, I just want them to find him and realize, like, oh, like, there's a better way. Well, the best way for me to do that is to not force anything on them, but to figure out how I can help them on their journey, not to manipulate, not to fix, not to change, but just to be with him, to love them enough just to be with him, and to pray for them and to help them on their journey. And it's that. It's how can I be with somebody so much so that they know that I'm just for them, and I'm not trying to change them.
Yeah.
It's not about converting people, which I think a lot of times people think that that's what it's about. No.
For sure.
God is alive and active. He does the work. I don't have to do the work.
Yeah.
I just need to be available to be like him to others, because that's the best way to live life.
Yeah. And we can't convert people, and we aren't
No.
responsible for them.
No.
I think that's something that I wanted to ask you too, with being a pastor, because I think maybe there's a stigma around you're just trying to, everyone you meet, you're just trying to convert them, like, in that conversation.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, we've ran into that a few times.
Yeah.
With friends. And that's sad, because I genuinely don't even like telling people I'm a pastor sometimes. Because that comes with a stigma of, like, oh, you're going to try and change me. And it's like, no, actually, I just want, if God is alive and active and he's moving in my life, what I want to do is I just want to meet you where you are.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to change anyone. But if you're worried about that, maybe you're looking for something else,
Yeah.
And maybe we can talk and have a good conversation. So, yeah, man, I think it's important for people to realize, like, I don't know if people change people. I don't think they do.
No.
I don't think we really can. They have to be the ones to make those decisions. And I just definitely don't want to be manipulative or I just wish I could hang out with people so that people could realize that I'm just a normal person.
Yeah.
And I want to live such an extraordinary life, just like they do. And so, yeah, man. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. And I think when talking about faith with good friends and people that I love, and this is something I want to ask you too, but I describe Jesus how you did, and he's not forcing people to follow him. He's not threatening people. He's not, you gotta do this, this, and this. He's eating with them, healing them. He gives people a choice, but he never makes anybody do anything. And I think that the view of him has been twisted by broken humans and by maybe how people that say they believe in him are acting. And so that's a question that I want to ask you because I have my own answer. But what do you think is the biggest hang up to people giving Jesus a try?
I'd love to hear your answer. I think it's definitely other people.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely other people. For a few different reasons. One, if somebody that doesn't have a relationship with God and their life is healthier and more full in when it comes to relationship, love, life experiences than somebody who doesn't have a relationship with Jesus, and and it's maybe they don't really tell the truth, maybe they don't have high character or whatever. Not that we should ever be judgmental, but we shouldn't be judgmental. And so, like, the idea is, you'll hear this a lot, and it's, these people hurt me, or this person affected me, or I don't want that person's life. So I think you have, like, I don't want that person's life, so why would I ever want Jesus? I think that's a thing. And I think a lot of times humans say things, it's just humans, myself included. I will say things about what I want or the way that I'm trying to live, and that doesn't line up with how I'm living at home or with other people. Again, not that we're being perfect or being judgmental. It's just why would I want something when I feel like I'm way ahead or I'm doing better than them? That doesn't make any sense. Or I'm healthier than them. Maybe better is defined as healthy. Okay, that's one thing. The other is like the judgmental side. And, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is right after probably the most famous
John 3:16
verse in the Bible. So, like, I love John 3:17. We talked about this?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
We probably have.
We
We've talked about
have.
we've talked about it a lot. So like, I think it's really important for, people to know John 3:16, 100%. But, like, let's look at 3:17. Because 3:17 reveals that Jesus didn't come into the world to judge people. He just came into the world to help make it right again. So that we could be in right relationship with God, so that we could be right with ourselves and be right with others and not hurt people that we love and not do things that we say that we don't want to do and don't do things that we say that we do want to do and or whatever, however, vice versa. It's like things don't line up, and it's like, oh man, Jesus didn't come into the world to judge. He just came to help others find a way out, a way for more. And it's like, oh man, that's a game changer. But so many times, religion ends up with as a list of rules, and as a like, instead of guidelines that are best lived by, or ethics that would actually help or be a good foundation for us, or methods that actually do matter, and like focus and clarity. And I think all of the the best business books are actually come from rooted in Scripture. It's like, oh, do you know the golden rule is actually in the Bible? Jesus said it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's like, oh, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Jesus said it.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, I'm like, oh, what? It's like, I don't think most people even know that. And that's okay that they don't necessarily know it, but they should maybe learn it. And so your question was, why do people maybe not follow Jesus, or what are the biggest hindrances? I think other Christians, people say they're following Jesus, both in the judgmental, like religious, rules-based world. You've got to do this. You've got to be performance-based. You've got to accomplish this. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. And then I just see Jesus like, hey, like, follow me. Wherever you are, just follow me.
Yeah.
And then he does the supernatural, transformative work in their hearts and lives.
Yeah.
And then, so like other people, and then the other thing I think is we have a difficult time being honest. And I think one of evil's best tools is distraction.
Yeah.
And so getting us distracted from what really matters. And so that's kind of, and not coming to grips with like just where we actually are in just the truth and honesty. Well, because I think a lot of times we don't have people to trust. So it comes back to the people place.
For sure.
So, yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. It's broken people, it's hypocrisy, and really just I think a twisted view of religion, and maybe just not twisted, but who Jesus actually was. And I've had tons of conversations with tons of people about how these friends or family members that are believers that treated them poorly, or this person that believes this one thing is doing these other things, or there's a lot of controversial topics in our society that have been politicized in terms of, if you're a Christian you believe this, and if you're not a Christian you believe this, and I just try to argue that that's not what Jesus was doing. And my marriage crew, our couple crew at our church, are reading Practicing the Way by John Mark Comer, and it talks about basically what you just said, and that if you are learning about Jesus and you're with him, then obviously we're not going to come close to being like him, being perfect like he was, but it's way different than maybe how traditional Christians are living their life.
Yeah.
And so that's something that is hard when you hear about broken people just messing up something that is so incredible and amazing and life-changing in Jesus. And we are broken people. We live in a broken world, and like you said earlier, you're the worst person you know, I'm the worst person I know, and we struggle with sin every day, and that's why we need a Savior.
Let me say this. I think this is really important, because we will stay a part of the problem if we don't say this. Okay? So I think this is really important.
Let's go.
I am not judging other Christians.
Yeah.
That aren't living a life of hope, of healing, of health, of, I guess those three begin with H. I didn't mean that, but I meant with those words though. It's important for, if I'm judging those people, then I'm still a part of the issue.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still a part of the problem. So the way that we get out of the problem is realizing this. Now, if I'm basing my relationship with God on other people, I'm doing it wrong. I need to base my relationship with God on God in myself.
Yeah.
Because, again, people are going to mess up. So it's I can't judge them where they are, but I can realize that they're still in process. Why? Because they're here on this earth. We stay in process. We stay messed up. We stay imperfect, no matter how good or how many years we've been following Jesus. So I think it's really important to not base our relationship with God on other people.
Yeah.
But that we should go on this journey of who he says he is, what he says about me, what he is about, how to have a relationship with him based off of what he says, and experiencing him, not experiencing others than him, or what other people's opinions are than him. I think that if we can just wrap our minds around people are going to mess up, and there's been a lot of people that hurt me, because people just hurt people.
Yeah.
Because we're all
hurt.
Yeah, we all are hurt, and that's the famous quote, right? Hurt people, and it's that's a thing. Okay, the reason it's a cliche, if you will, or common language is because it's true.
Yeah,
there's truth to it, and so I just want us to. I know that you and I are not trying to be a part of the problem, but I think it's important for everyone to hear that the way that we get out of that is realize it's your relationship with God, not your relationship with other people, and then God.
Yeah,
when we bring other people in, it's oh yeah, we're all in different parts on this journey.
And I have two more questions on that piece, and then I have a lot more after that. But what would you say to someone that says that they don't need God, or that maybe following the Lord makes them weak? What would you say to them?
Yeah, no, that is a good question. I think that comes back to the honesty part. I think they're working on this mindset that which is actually a quite helpful mindset, and I'll get to that. I think it's helpful in the short term. hurtful in the long term. Does that make sense? So when someone says, I think needing someone else makes me weak, that may be true. But you're basing that off of someone else, meaning you're basing your relationship with God off of people. And you're not realizing your true limitations. So in the short term, what they are saying, that may be true. But what we're talking about is things that last forever. And so, yes, you may, actually the Bible says that you will have to humble yourself, which is reveal your weakness, but then you have to realize that you are also limited. You have limitations. Well, that's just honest. Well, how do you know you're limited? Well, because you can only do so much in a day. How do you know you're limited? You're only going to live for so long. How do you know you're limited? Well, you're only going to be really good at racing if we're talking about runners, which I love this podcast because it's kind of like the runners podcast. I can't believe I'm even on the podcast. I'm not even a runner hardly. But the point is, what I'm saying is, yes, in the short term, that may be true. But your life is longer than just the short term. And you may feel on top of the world right now, and you may feel like it makes you weak right now. But Jesus says, when you are weak, I am strong. The Bible clearly lets us know that, like, when we are weak, Paul lets us know that when we are weak, he is strong. And you can live like this. You can live under your own limitations. And you can do a lot. And you can experience the edge of human capabilities. And that's awesome. Good job. But there is a dead end to human capabilities. What I think is cool and what I'm looking for is limitlessness. And I want to see what happens at the end of human capabilities when God gets a hold of someone living at the edge of what they are capable of, and then they begin to live supernaturally, not just naturally. And they begin to experience all that God can do. And they begin to experience healing that he provides.
Yeah.
And they begin to experience the hope that he has. And they begin to experience the dream that he has for them. Ephesians 3:20 says, he has greater dreams for you than you can even begin to dream of. Well, guess what? That person that says they're weak, they haven't even pursued their dream yet. They haven't seen their dream come into reality yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm not just trying to see mine. I'm trying to see God's dream for my life come into my reality. Which is something that I can't even begin to think of. So I would say that they're playing a different game than I'm playing.
Yeah.
They're playing a finite game. And that's okay for now. And we can be available to them. And I stay available for people like that. I'm ready for somebody. I want someone to experience all that they can under their own limitations, under their own muscles or capabilities, if you will. That's awesome. There is a dead end to that, and I just want to be their friend for when they hit that dead end so they can realize that there's more. And then there's the few that realize that there's an end coming, and they're in the middle in process with the habits, with the time to accomplish, with more, and they say, I actually am going to trade my dream for God's and realize how greater the gap is in between. It's infinite. Because you can have an infinite impact if you start playing infinite games. You can only have a finite impact if you play finite ones. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say to that.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that.
But I'm also not, like, frustrated with those people.
Yeah. For sure.
I actually can relate.
Yeah.
And I think those people, once they come to grips with, like, getting that amount of money, accomplishing that goal, fill in the blank, when they see that dream come into reality, people don't complete other people. Whenever you marry that person, she's not or he's not going to complete you. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? When you accomplish the dream, the same is true.
Yeah.
When you get that gold medal, the same is true. When you win that race, the same is true. When you get that PR, the same is true. And you can live the rest of your life pursuing more. Great. Limitation is the end of your life.
Yeah. And it's not going to satisfy your soul.
Exactly. And so you'll be unsatisfied, you won't have peace, and you'll be searching, and it's like you can have fun and you can experience all that, but and that's great. But there is more.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought that was important to say as well.
Yeah, the goalpost moves, and like you said, you can do so many things under your own power. but then how many stories have you heard of people that do all these things and they're miserable? And I've said it before on this podcast, and it's something that I still struggle with all the time, but it's just making an idol of things of this world, of our God-given talents, or of what other people think of you, or how you look, how you feel. And that's ultimately always going to fail you. Either way, either you're running out of time or before that. But yeah, I love that perspective, and it is different, the finite versus infinite game. I know we've talked about that, but one more question I had: how do you approach? We live in a divided society in ways. How do you approach the hard topics when it comes to your belief in Jesus? And I'm talking about the hard topics like homosexuality or abortion or anything like that. And we don't have to go into details about specifically what you believe, and we can cut this if you want to. But
no, we definitely don't need to cut this.
Yeah,
this is great.
But that I know is a holdup for a lot of people, and I know for me too. I have plenty of people that I know and love that believe a lot of things that are against the Bible or against the church. And so as a pastor, as who you are, how do you approach those topics?
If I go back to kind of what we were talking about a second ago, first off, I love the question. I think we need to be able to tackle things like this. But I think if we try to take sound bites, or we try to take small statements out of like complexity issues, that's a lot of times when we get in trouble. Because I think when you start loving somebody and you care about somebody right where they are, you want the best for them, and you want them to find what you have found in a relationship with Jesus, and then do our best to have like a really good, trustworthy conversation where we can wrestle with major topics together. But wrestling is a very close, you have to bring a lot of trust when it comes to wrestling. But I don't think us as humans, we wrestle near enough. We make statements. We make simple statements for complex issues and complex problems, but simple things don't solve complexity. And simple things applied to complexity, you can maybe fix or get into that. And so, I think a lot of times, even when we say, oh, that's a simple answer, I think we're overlooking the relationship aspect that people have, and or the circumstances that people are in, or the hurt and the pain that people bring to the table when it comes to those things. And so I think it's difficult to solve problems outside of a relationship. Because then it becomes an argument when no one ever gets anywhere. And it's okay to get frustrated. I think it's okay to get angry, and I think it's okay to get mad, because that's all of a part of the human experience. But I think if we're really trying to see somebody find healing, hope, life, if we're trying to help them find community, then we need to see people as uniquely and wonderfully made.
Yeah.
And if we value people as the most precious thing that matters in this world, then we will approach the problems personally. And when the answer stops being personal to us, because we don't even know anyone on the other side of the coin or on this side of the line or table or whatever the boundaries are of I disagree with you. If it stops being personal, then it's all principle based, and everyone takes it personal. And so I think the way that we solve those complex problems is individual by individual, because of the uniqueness of every situation. And then when we say that, when we classify them with those issues as they are a problem, then we immediately get it wrong.
Yeah.
Because people, this is huge, people are not problems, they have problems. And so, and that's everyone.
Yeah.
I have problems. You have problems. We all have problems.
Oh, yeah.
But we are not the problem. And so I think that's like when we come to grips with like understanding, solving, and seeing and experiencing, and then we start putting, answering these questions that really do matter and really people really do care about. When we answer those first without a relationship, a lot of times we get it backward. And we say that, oh, you're the problem. And it's like, well, time out. Like, you're actually why I'm here. Like, I just want to meet you where you are. Let's be friends first. You know, let's have a conversation first. And so, man, like, I think that's how we can actually see our world changed. Well, we'll see the world change beginning with our own.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Wow. I love that. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of experience of people that are very adamant in those controversial areas where there's just a lot of hate, diversion, and disrespect, no love, no relationship. And, you know, that's sometimes coming from both sides of the coin. And, yeah, I think if people can just sit down and have a conversation and just get to know each other and really
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I just thought of this while you were saying this.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to realize that love and hate are actually the same coin, different sides.
Mm.
And here's what I mean. It's Jesus says, if you are lukewarm, if you're lukewarm, it's actually going to be really difficult for you to ever understand. The idea is like you're actually not going to be able to grow. You're not going to be able to go anywhere that he's going. And so, like, I think and what he's really saying is lukewarmness is actually the most dangerous place to be if you have neither love nor hate.
Yeah.
Or if you have no, really, if you have no passion. Jesus definitely doesn't say hate, so I don't want to make confusing with that. But like passion and zeal and energy toward like, oh, I care. I think what he's really getting at is just care about like what you're thinking and what you believe in, like stand somewhere. Because if you can stand somewhere, then you can actually go somewhere. Because if you don't know where you're standing, you actually can never go anywhere. And wherever you're standing, if you're passionate about that, well, great. Be passionate about that, because then if you're honest and truthful, then you can grow. Then you can be met by God. Then you can go somewhere. Then if you're curious and you're open to the truth, then guess what? You can go to where and meet God where he is. And you can actually move forward in life. I think the point is to not be wishy-washy, to not be lukewarm, to not just like keep the status quo, but aspire growth and development and possibility for more. And then as you go on that journey, and this is kind of meta, and maybe it's kind of like a high level of philosophical thinking, but it's okay, because I think people need to think more. But like stand somewhere.
Yeah.
But if you can't stand anywhere, then you can't be honest about it.
Yeah.
And you can't grow from there.
For sure.
But if we're growing from there, well, then we can go somewhere, we can experience God, and we can be met by him. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like that's really important.
Yeah.
Because it's not that hate and love are not the same thing. But I think they come from the passionate zeal for something. You hate something because you love something else.
Yeah.
And so I can actually talk to somebody who is against me, or sees it from a different point of view, and I can actually begin to understand where they're coming from. But I think that's what makes really good relationships, if we seek to understand the other person.
Yeah.
And how they could get where they got. If I just simply know them. But then I can go somewhere in the relationship, even if they don't agree with me, or even if they're coming from a different point of view.
Love that. Yeah, that's amazing, and I think you touched on a lot of things that, you know, the tour is all about. Having passion for something, discovering that passion, and, you know, following that through. with your life. But no, I believe that foundation is so important in knowing where you're at. And I think in a society where we are so worried about what other people think about us and how we look to the world or to the public, that it's sometimes scary to put yourself out there like that. But that's where there's freedom in that. And so, yeah, I think that's amazing. And it just gets controversial and twisted in the process. But with that foundation, so the tour is.
Can I say something else?
Yeah.
While you're thinking about your next.
Yeah.
Where you want to take this? I think this will help. This is a good framework. Is if we could reframe our thoughts to, instead of what would Jesus say, or what would Jesus do, right? WWJD type thing. But instead of what would Jesus say or what would Jesus do, it's how would Jesus meet this person where they are? How would Jesus care for them? How would Jesus see them? And then how would Jesus walk with them? He met so many people where they were, and he just invited them to walk with him.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a lot less. Very rarely, this is an important statement. Very rarely do people remember what you said, but they always remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And if people can remember me, maybe not for what I say, but that I just tried to see them and meet them where they were and help them and care for them where they were, and fun, kind, helpful, encouraging, maybe even a little challenging, but like that they enjoyed being around me, I think we can get somewhere.
Yeah.
Together. And I don't even know where, that doesn't have to be a negative thing, it doesn't have to be a positive, but that framework is so helpful when we view people.
I love that. My favorite Bible verse is Revelation 3:20. He stands at the door and knocks. If you let me in, then I will dine with you and you with me. And that's what I think about all the time with that statement. Just how trying to have that Jesus awareness with life. But we were talking about foundation, and the tour is about having a rooted and hopeful mindset toward your goals. How do you stay rooted, and how do you stay hopeful in your life and in this crazy world?
Yeah, so it's there's a few buckets that I think about when it comes to staying rooted. I think you have to have a plan. If you want to stay rooted and you want to have a foundation, you better have a plan to build that foundation. No house, no home, nothing of substance that lasts doesn't have a foundation. So when you come to grips with that, that is important both relationally and physically, and also mentally. And so in every aspect, you better know what you're building on. Okay? So the few things that I really care about, one, it's relationships. I better have a understanding of priorities and what I value. And so my relationships are key. Who am I building a team with? And who do I want to become more like? A lot of people have said this. You're the average of 7 to 10, 5 to 10 people in your life. The number changes, I think, a lot all the time. But you're the average of the 5 to 10 people closest to you in life. Okay, so for me, that was one of the reasons why I chose to marry my wife, is because she's so amazing, and I wanted to be more like her in aspects. I wanted to have this. I wanted to have her in my life because, 1, I love her. 2, she's amazing. But 3, it's I just simply wanted the character of her. I wanted to be more like her, which was huge. So that's a big deal. But then, that's one bucket. But friendships, close relationships, who am I communicating with on a regular basis? My relationship with God, that's a bucket. Relationships, and having a really healthy relationship. The second is, how am I sharing my life with others? And how am I helping other people find on their journey and their dreams and their aspirations. And so like that's huge. Like that's a big piece, because that's how I'm serving others. It's how I'm pouring out. And then I've got to think about this naturally as the third kind of like bucket for me. And it's like, who am I pouring into? Who am I helping develop? And who am I encouraging or challenging? And then making sure that I have it like that flow of like, hey, I know who's encouraging and challenging me, and I'm making sure that they're coaching me from wherever they are as well. So like that may all sound the same, but those are quite different in how they manifest or like come into my life.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And you talked about earlier how if there is no purpose to our life, that's not a life you want to live.
Right.
And so that's kind of where your hope comes from then, is having that purpose and believing in bigger things, infinite things, and that you can just continue to get better until you get the glory.
No, exactly. Or, and so if I were to say one thing, it would be build a team.
Yeah.
Build a team.
Yeah.
And allow others to join on the journey. And so, yeah, man, I think whether we're doing sport, where we're doing business, where we're doing life, whether we're trying to raise a family, it takes a village to raise a family, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And so it's
Father
like,
3.
Yeah, so you better have people that you can rely on. It takes other people to have a good marriage. You have to have other people to pour into you, to care for you guys, to be on the journey with you. And so it's like, it's a big deal. You better know who's with you and where they're going. And if you don't know your direction, here's what I'm seeing people miss right now. Direction. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Do you have direction? And like, if you don't have direction and if you don't have courage, then you're going to have a difficult time moving and growing and through life. You better get some courage, because you're going to have to build a life that you've never built before. You're going to have to go places you've never gone before. Why? Because you're getting older. You've never been this age, and you will never be this age again. It's just the simple fact of time lets us know that we better take courage to build the future that doesn't exist yet for us.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's easy to waste days.
Courage and direction, I think, right now are the two things that people are needing most and aren't thinking about it, the least.
Yeah. How would you encourage somebody? So that is one of the main reasons why I started the brand The Tour, is because I know a lot of people that are doing things that they don't want to do. They don't really know what to do, and they've given up on maybe their dream. How would you encourage someone, say someone that's listening or watching, that doesn't know the first step to take? What would you encourage them to do to see their potential?
You need somebody in your life that is taking steps that you wish you could. You got to have a few people that are just ahead of you, and if the dream scenario is having someone that's way ahead of you, that you can gain some wisdom on, so you can avoid some pitfalls or issues or struggles that they went through and learn from them. But then have somebody that is maybe alongside you. It could be a little bit ahead. It could just be right next to you, age-wise or direction-wise. Align yourself and say hey, the dream is for me to go this direction. And then if I could begin to go this direction with you, just instead of reinventing the wheel, just follow the playbook that they have. And you will get better. You just simply will get better. And guess what? If that's not what you want with your life, it doesn't matter. You've gotten better, and guess what you've learned? That's not the direction you want with your life. So if you don't have direction, get one. Begin to have some dreams, aspirations, goals. If you could do anything, what would you do? If you could go anywhere, where would you go? And then realize this: you can't accomplish anything outside of community. You can't really accomplish anything big outside of community.
Yeah.
So you got to practically build it. I think a lot of times we let life happen to us too much instead of happening to life. That comes back to spend your time intentionally with the people that you want to be more like. And sometimes we have to do the things that we don't want to do the thing that we are compelled and called to do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. that's figuring it out. That's putting in the sweat equity. That's putting in the time, the difficult things. But you better be going somewhere. A lot of times, the people in my community give me the most courage because they see things in me that I don't even see in me. Because a lot of times we have the most pessimistic view of ourselves. Well, I need you to call out in me the animal in me, so to speak, the warrior in me, the competitor in me, the gold or value in me. And so that's why we have friends. That's why we have friends that we call family. That's why we have community. So I don't.
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
Very helpful.
I think that.
Yeah.
I think that could be it.
For sure.
You gotta have someone speaking into your life.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
And that kind of segues to your podcast, the Full Vantage Podcast, and that is kind of the mission, and correct me if I'm wrong behind it, is you're getting the vantage point from all kinds of different people that you've had on, 35 episodes so far?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and you are building community out here in Denver, but you are wanting to hear vantage points from people to push yourself forward and push them forward. Do you want to talk a little more about that?
Sure, yeah. I can just, really quickly if you like. But Full Vantage Podcast, I believe that your problems and your dreams could be either solved or made into reality if you begin to see the problem or the dream in totality, in 360. But if there was something here in between you and I, you could see that side of that thing, just like this cup. You could see that side of the cup, and I can see this side. Well, there could be a sticker on your side that I couldn't see.
Yeah.
And for me to be able to draw it or understand it in its fullness, I need to see from your point of view. So what's powerful is if we can surround this in the context of community, you can only have your vantage point, and someone else can only have their vantage point.
Yeah.
And so what happens is we can actually see our problems get solved and see our dreams become a reality faster, quicker, and more cleanly and better understanding if we have a community that speaks into our life based off of our blind spots, based off of our own issues, based off of value and understanding.
Yeah.
And if we can understand them quicker and better and more clear, guess what? We're going to grow, and we're going to see that problem get solved fast. And we're going to see that dream become a reality fast. And then we can see ourselves growing and becoming better really quickly. And and experiencing more life.
Yeah.
And then getting to be blessed on this journey by honoring others of like I couldn't be here if it wasn't for you. You couldn't be here if it wasn't for me. Well, that's
100%.
great. That's how we can honor each other. Is I'm better because you're in my life. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Because of how you view things, what you've been through, your experiences, how God has moved in your life. Well, guess what? There's no end to what we could see happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because we're only a result of our own experiences, and we are only able to, see what we've seen, or you can't grow up in 100 or 1,000 different ways. And so, I think it's so important to, like you've mentioned many times, be able to sit down with people and hear from them and listen to their perspective on it, because we're able to learn and grow so much from it. And it's an amazing podcast, and highly recommend it. We'll plug it in the show description.
Oh, dude. No, thanks, man. I think it's funny because it actually comes from something I could not identify with, which the Navy SEALs. I haven't told really many people this, but it comes from I heard this by a Navy SEAL that they say when the weather goes bad and it gets south and it's really difficult. They on comms they say a lot of times, I don't know if this is every time, but because I'm not one, but they say full benefit, and I loved that because the idea is they're getting the full benefit. The harder it gets, the more it challenges them. The better that they get, the stronger that they get, the more complete they get to grow. And it's I'm maybe not saying that, but because we're building community, Full Vantage is kind of coming from that kind of mindset of full benefit. We benefit from each other's vantage points, and it brings clarity to where we could go.
Yeah.
And to what we're trying to see come into our life, or maybe leave our life like a problem. And so like I get excited about it, and I guess I'm just really recording the conversations that I would already have, or just want to have, for even myself. And so I hope other people benefit from it. But like, I love this and what you're doing, man. So I'm excited for the year that you're having and going to have.
Thank you. It's an honor and an honor to be on that journey with you for sure. And I would say the exact same for you. I'm super excited for where it's going and for what it's been already. I was going to say something else, but I kind of lost my train of thought. I can edit that.
No, you're good, man. This is great.
But I got two more questions for you. I know
Hit me with it. You're good.
It's 2:50.
No, you're good.
Advice that you want to leave people with.
Oh man, about what?
I guess
like my last words.
Let's make it two-parter.
Is this like a last words thing?
Let's make it a two-parter. What's the best advice you've been given?
Okay.
And what's the best advice that you could give someone? Leave them with.
Man, okay. Let's see. I've been given a lot of really good advice. I've had the privilege of being with some pretty amazing people. And the advice that I would give is humility. Humility is actually where it all happens.
Love that.
Humility is where it all happens. And I really don't have much to bring to the table. And if I understand that I have a very limited amount of information, knowledge to bring to the table, well, guess what that can do? Is that can keep me in a position of learning. And if I can stay in a position of learning, then I can consistently see growth come into my life. So I would say humility is actually the best setup for every single person. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. And I think pride is on the other side of the coin, the downfall of man. And people, I believe, not realizing that they can't do this life on their own or they don't have it figured out. And it's something that I struggle with every day. And so that's incredible. The last question that I ask everyone on the podcast is, if you could have a fun, quirky feature in your home or future home, what would it be? To give you an example, mine is a indoor basketball court. So I'm not talking.
That is not quirky at all.
But
I think you're breaking all the rules to your own question.
It's not traditional though.
Okay.
So non-traditional thing, because like a traditional thing is, I mean, maybe a wine cellar is maybe like a normal thing, but
that's not normal.
I think
how much money do you have to have a wine cellar?
But it's more common.
Okay. If you ask a bunch of basketball players, I guarantee they do basketball court at their house.
But that's rare.
Okay. It's not rare for them though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So sorry, I'm losing the essence of the question. I got you. Okay. Like, this is. I don't think this. A lot of people have this. I would love a sauna.
Yeah.
Is that quirky enough?
I think so. I think that's rare.
Is that quirky
indoor
enough?
Sauna? Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about this. It doesn't have to be indoor. I love those barrel ones. I'm gonna try and find one on Facebook Marketplace for cheap, or like build my own. You want to help me?
I can try. I have a buddy that
it'd be so cool to have a sauna.
I think the company's called Sauna Box.
Really?
If you use code Charlie.
Okay.
$350.
Code Charlie.
Code Charlie. Yeah.
Okay. Remind me of this afterwards.
Shout out. Yeah, absolutely. And so
I think it'll be sick to have a sauna.
Yeah, saunas are cool. I'm allergic to cedar, and so I can't do a lot of saunas though, because a lot of them are cedar.
Let's not build it out of cedar.
Yeah, but it might be. I think it's harder. But I know we've
snowboard in, snowboard out would be sick, but
that
feels pretty rare. But anyways,
that would be really cool.
This is great.
Yeah, I know we're at time. I could keep going for a long time. We'll have to have a part 2 at some point. But Trevor, let's plug what you're doing on Instagram. I think you're just Trevor Lovingood.
Yeah, just my name.
Cool.
Yeah, Trevor Lovingood.
And then full Vantage Podcast everywhere you can find your podcast.
Sure. Yep.
And then Ever Denver coming
Sure.
soon.
Sure. No, it's here.
It's here now.
Ever Denver.
Wednesdays.
Ever Denver. It's kind of cool. Community in Denver. So
Yeah.
seeing
And
what happens.
pastor at Restoration Church, 5 p.m.
Yep.
every Sunday.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to plug?
Oh man, no. I'm just trying to be more like you, man. Like, sheesh.
That's
Just
the exact
teach me how to
opposite.
just teach me how to grow taller. Just teach me how to be better at everything.
Stretch.
Stretch. hang from my
Yeah.
feet. Whatever. It's
And
great.
Wife Erica Lovingood is awesome.
She's
3
the best.
kids.
Yeah, 3 kids.
What are their names?
I don't know. Do you know? I'm just kidding. I do know my kids' names. Gosh, London, Leo, and Zeke.
Shouts.
The squad.
Shouts.
We have a lot of fun.
Epic squad. Well, Trevor, it's been an absolute honor spending time with you. Thank you so much
Same,
for
man.
taking the time.
Love you,
And,
bro.
Love you, man. Have a great one, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to episode 8 of the Tour Podcast. Really grateful that you took the time to be with us today. Really appreciate everyone out there repping the tour. Remember, the tour is about pursuing your dreams with a rooted and hopeful mindset. Let's talk about how you're rooted. Let's talk about your goals. Reach out to Sub4 Tour on Instagram, sub4tour.com. Anytime, the DMs are open. Let's get working together. Let's keep chasing our goals. Let's stay encouraged. Have a great one, everybody.